връщаме към My New Drive My Video. Днеска ще гледаме за Hallmark Live. Да започваме.
Welcome to a new Draw My Life video. It all started one night. The night Jeffrey Woods, also known as Jeff the Killer, went completely crazy and killed his parents and his sweet brother Lou Woods. Jeff became a soulless monster whose only desire was to kill. But was Lou really dead after so many cuts and stab wounds? No. Jeff's brother survived this brutal attack. Full of rage, he made it through, eager to live. Then it all turned black and he passed out until the police found him, nearly dead, next to his already dead parents. Lou spent some months in a coma in the hospital after many transplants, surgery and stitches.
Спирам до тук, защото мисля, че това е малко измислено. Не мисля. После мисля да гледаме за ето този, първото. Да започваме.
Finally woke up. When he opened his eyes, he thought he saw an angel. It was Susan, the nurse in charge of taking care of him. She got really excited when she saw him. She'd been waiting for him to wake up for a long time. Hi, I'm Susan. I hope you get well soon and wish you the best of luck, she whispered in his ear. Days went by and Susan was always there, taking care of him with a smile on her face. Lou couldn't stop admiring the fact that though he wasn't able to talk or even move yet, she was always there for him without losing heart. This gave him the strength to keep on. Without a doubt,
Между другото, този, който е направил ето той много харесвам, понеже го е рисувал, го е поне няколко часа.
But he trusted him as he was a very strong boy. Then they moved him to the surgery room. The surgeon said, "Count to 10. Little by little, you will start falling asleep, and when you wake up, you'll feel better than ever." Lou counted peacefully, but when he reached number 10, he still felt awake. He wanted to move, but he couldn't. It was as if his body had fallen asleep, but not him. Then he felt a cold knife lying on his chest. The knife started to cut and the pain was almost unbearable, and it didn't end. Each cut was more painful than the previous one. He couldn't help but remember Jeff cutting him once and again with his knife, saying, "Shh, don't worry, go to sleep." When he woke up, the first thing Lou saw was his angel, Susan, with a beautiful smile on her face. He felt so happy when he saw her that he was able to say, "Hey, Susan, I'm Lou. I hope..."
Ето тази жена мисля, че е Джеф. И не мисля, че се колебая да кажа, понеже първо се става в поликлиниката, второ, че тя е най-често посещаващата него и трето, че го обича, макар че е лудо влюбена. Мисля, че ето тази жена е Джеф. Но да започваме, защото може и да не знаем.
She started crying, excited, and accepted without hesitating. Finally, the day came for Lou to recover 100%, and that same night he met Susan. It all went amazing. She was perfect for him. But Lou wasn't over the incident with his brother yet. He felt going back to his old house would help him move on. He was afraid to go on his own though, so he asked Susan if she'd go with him. "Of course, Lou. I'd do anything for you." When they got to the house, they found the door had been locked, probably by the police to avoid people breaking in. Together, they pushed it once, twice, 3 times, and the door opened with difficulty. A strong, musty, and rotten smell reigned in the house. It was all very dark until little by little the eyes of the couple got used to the darkness and were able to see the horror Jeff had caused. The bodies were gone. However, stains of blood were all around. The house had accumulated a fine and dense layer of
Та
dust.
направи
For Lou,
класик
it was
с
like
тая
living again
кръв
the day his
по
crazy brother went back home. They went upstairs, and the closer they got to his room, the worse the scene was. They then got to his room's entrance, surrounded by a police cordon. Lou cut it in silence and opened the door. His room was the worst of all. There was blood everywhere, and on the wall at the end of the room, they could read the sentence, "Go to sleep." When he read this, he froze. He suddenly fell onto the floor and started screaming. He couldn't forget each and every step from Jeff. Going back to the house had been a bad idea. Lou couldn't stop thinking about his brother. He heard him inside his head. "Shh, go to sleep. Jeff, I'll see you in hell when we're both dead." Lou wanted to kill him, stab him over and over again. A strong thirst for death and revenge invaded his body. "Lou, hun, are you okay?" asked Susan from the stairs. He grabbed a knife from the floor and ran to the door, and there was Susan, with her angel face. He was so close to doing something stupid. What had happened to him in that room? He calmed down, and they both left the house together. Susan saw him trembling and scared. "I'll take care of you today," she said, with her beautiful smile. On their way home, a thief robbed them and stole Susan's purse, hurting her. A huge rage invaded Lou, and he felt like running after the thief. But it wasn't normal rage, no. It was a kind of rage that urged him to kill with his own hands. He wanted to do it with all his strength. He told Susan to go home. He grabbed the knife and he killed the thief, after stabbing him several times. Lou then realized his thirst for killing was real. He had gone crazy. He thought it wouldn't take long for him to kill again. Nobody would hurt Susan ever again. But he couldn't just go around killing everybody. He wasn't Jeff, so he decided to kill only bad people. Time went by and more people had been killed by Lou. He bought a leather suit, so it'd be easier to clean it. He was sick of having blood stains on his clothes. It was a peaceful night, and he went out to a restaurant with Susan to celebrate their anniversary.
Добре. Тук откачиме, понеже първо, кой кого е в момента лудия? Тая Джеф или тоя с превръзката на лицето? Понеже не знам защо ще го прави да убива всеки, когото я наранява. Това ми е малко в повече и мисля продължа, понеже не съм гледал My New Drive the видео. Да продължаваме.
More in love than ever, so he made the most of the date and asked her to marry him. Obviously, Susan said yes. It all seemed perfect, until on the way up, a damned soul came with a gun and shot her. Susan fell on the floor. The ambulance took too long, and Susan died. Full of rage, he turned against the doctors in it. If they had been faster, maybe his angel could still be alive. He killed them all, but this didn't heal the pain the death of his loved one was causing. So he grabbed a surgical knife, and he cut the shape of a smile on his face, and then sewed it, so nobody would see he was really suffering inside. Then he sewed the date of Susan's death in his chest, next to his heart, so he'd never forget that this cruel world had taken from him the only thing he loved. From that moment on, Lou Woods is called Homicidal Lou, and he wanders around, killing all people who seems to be happy. If he can't be happy, then nobody should be.
Oops.
If you enjoyed this video...
Добре. Може ли да ми обясните какво беше това за Бог? И какво е това? Добре, мисля да продължа. What the fuck? Ти изобщо ограни ли или не? Аба, той какво е? Джеф де Кила. Каква та Джеф? Сериозно ви казвам, той, който копира този известен човек сериозно ще си нагази белата и ще го затворят за копиране на такива неща. Понеже съм виждал повече хора да са го правили, поне, нали, повечето са за Drama My Life TikTok. Така. Мисля да гледаме за този.
Welcome to a new Draw My Life video. So, I'll introduce myself. My name is John Coiffure.
Може ли
And
сега
now
ми
that the story
питаш?
of Ben Drowned has become popular, I'd like to clarify
Добре,
some facts
най-последното
that
ще
I've been
гледам после.
researching on after his death. I'll start from the beginning. Ben and I went to school together. He was a very shy boy. We became friends right away as we shared one passion, video games. One of our favorite games was The Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask for Nintendo 64. Ben was a slim boy with blonde hair to his shoulders and his eyes were sky blue. Everyone considered him a weirdo because his personality was different. The bullies in the class, Matt, Jack, and Alex, constantly picked on him. He was the second.
Извинявам се, просто наистина много съм болен.
Poor Ben's situation at home wasn't very nice either. His dad had died the previous year in a car accident. Right before dying, Ben had told him about his problems at school, and he had calmed him down. I'll go talk to your teacher tomorrow. I'm sure it would all have a wonderful ending, right? He kissed him on his forehead and laughed, without knowing those were his last words. Ben didn't smile much. The happiest I had seen him is when he bought the Majora's Mask game with the money he had been saving. He would spend hours and hours playing, and he always had it with him. I wish I was like Link, and I could be brave and face those bullies, he would usually say. One day, I went to his house to pick him up and go to school together. When I got there, he was playing the Majora's Mask game. I remember he saved the game in the Skull Kid phase. Then, he put the game inside his bag and we left for school. During the break, he came to me, desperate, because Matt had been searching in his stuff and his game had disappeared. I went to the teacher's room with him to tell what had happened, and we went to find Matt. Ben, are you sure it was Matt? The teacher asked. Yes, I saw him searching on my bag. Don't worry, you won't see it again, I heard Matt whisper with a dark voice. The teacher asked Matt to empty his bag. There was the game, without the label. Ben asked me to hold on to it. He was afraid I would take it from him again after school. He told me he would call me to meet at some safe place and give it to him. When I got home, I was waiting for his call. 10 minutes passed, and 20, 30, and the phone didn't ring. I was worried. What if Matt and the others had done...
Нека да спрем от тук, понеже... What the fuck? Добре, както ли дей, чувам... сега се усещам защо се казва кървавото чудже. Така поне мисля, че се казва. Мисля да продължим, но в момента е 13 минути, вероятно и наистина сега еба си многото. Съжалявам, връщам си думите, просто тези, за които гледат в момента видеото ми. Сега ще пусна много, но не знам защо изобщо е направено така.
He was screaming in pain and covering his face with his hands. I stood there some meters from them, and I saw Matt grab a wooden stick from the floor. You were saying you saw me taking your stupid game, huh? Don't worry, you won't see anything ever again. He put the stick in one of Ben's eyes and then in the other one. Ben was desperately screaming. The show was horrifying. I wanted to do something, but I couldn't move. Blood was falling from his sockets, covering his face and his clothes. I threw up and started crying. You shouldn't have done that, Ben said to Matt. Matt grabbed him by his neck and dragged him to the lake. He sunk his head in the water, drowning him while he laughed and laughed. Jack and Alice got scared, and they ran away. When Matt finished his job, he let Ben's dead body go and left in the same direction. Nobody was there anymore. I got close to Ben. My legs were shaking. I held him on my arms, hugging him, without letting go of the Majora's Mask game that I still had in my hand. I remained like that until the police came. They had been warned by a neighbor. My best friend was dead, and I couldn't do anything to avoid it. I still have nightmares about this. When I went back home, I went to the bathroom to get rid of the blood. The Zelda game was also dirty. I wiped it and saw something handwritten on it, a word, Majora. I hadn't realized about this earlier, but I didn't think it was important. The next day, when I woke up, the game was gone. I looked everywhere, but couldn't find it. After telling the police about what had happened, they sent Matt to a juvenile detention center. 3 days after that, his death under strange circumstances was in the news. They said his eyes had popped out of sockets while he was playing The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. On the TV, they showed a picture of the game. It was exactly like Ben's, the one I had, with the same handwritten word. I almost passed out. I felt a chill. What was happening? I started investigating and I found out Jack and Alice had also died in the same way as Matt. It had to be Ben's revenge. But things didn't stop there. Everything started to get more serious and more deaths took place. I got in touch with people who had played the same version of the damned game to know what was different about it from the original. There was a saved game with Ben's name. Usually, Skull Kid would show up in faces where he's not supposed to be, staring at you. And Link's sinister statue followed you everywhere, doing weird things with evil, bloody eyes. One day, I borrowed the game. While I was playing, Link's statue appeared, and when the game was over, one of the screens said, "You've had a terrible ending, right?" I was stunned. It was a very similar sentence to the one Ben's dad told him before the accident. There was a face that didn't appear for the other players. When Link was dying, the dialogue said, "Even though you didn't help, I don't hold anything against you, my friend." So it is true. There is a cursed version of the Zelda game where Ben drowned enjoys playing with your mind to scare you. His image will haunt you even when you sleep until you probably lose your mind.
Добре, хора, да видя колко е мале 17 минути. Добре, това мисля, че ще е последното. И мисля да спирам клипа, понеже не съм правил клип от много давно. Само от една година не съм.
After being killed, comes back as a yokai or an evil spirit to take revenge. The story goes, a long time ago, there was a woman who was as beautiful as big-headed. She was so beautiful that she was courted by many men. Out of all her suitors, she decided to marry an important samurai. But the rest of the suitors didn't give up. At first, she wouldn't pay attention to them, but her husband had to go to war, and she soon started feeling very lonely. In the end, she fell for the charms of one of the suitors. Her husband had been away for too long, and she was the prettiest woman in town. Tired of waiting for him, she decided she could do as she wanted. So she kept on with her relationships with the different suitors, who were richer, more powerful, and stronger each time. But as we all know, rumors fly, and the samurai ended up hearing a story about a beautiful woman who would only accept the strongest men that went after her. When he heard this story, the samurai, a very proud man, felt really curious about the girl, even though he was married. One day, the samurai went back home and he went out for some drinks with his friends to celebrate his comeback. The party went on till late at night when one of his friends told him, "Do you remember the woman I told you about? She lives nearby." And the samurai, self-confident, decided to go and court the pretty lady. The closer he got to the place, the more familiar it seemed, but he was under the influence of alcohol. Suddenly, they stopped opposite a nice red door, and his friend said, "It's here." But the samurai was speechless. He didn't say a word, and the friend teased him. "What now? Are you gonna buck up?" The samurai, very serious now, answered, "This is my house." He then went in, kicking the door, ran to his bedroom, and found his wife with another man. The woman's face turned white after seeing that. All of a sudden, her husband had taken a sword through the man, and as he was taking it out of his back, the samurai asked her, "Do you think you're beautiful?" Then he held her strongly, put the sword in her mouth, and full of jealousy, cut her mouth, while the lady wouldn't stop screaming. People say the woman
Holy crap. Значи, ти се разправя за Китай, не. Но искам да разбера, защо самурая ще убива човека, след като ще убива жена си, след като е убил човека и иска да се отмъсти. Я точно се... Да казвам, за последен път, този, който е правил ти, е много добър.
Something really common in Japan. Lots of people wear it to protect themselves from different diseases. Kuchisake Onna wanders around the streets looking for victims, especially during dark and gloomy nights. She approaches them and says,
Мисля, че за този... Спирам за малко за той, който не се е абонирал, ето тук най-горе, вижда се за какво се... Вижда се 630 хиляди абоната. Абонирайте се за да станат повече, например 999 хиляди абоната, за да съм 0 или там колкото ли да е. Да започваме. Не знае, че даже е така.
And now, am I beautiful? If the victim gets scared, screams, or says, the woman will cut their mouth using some big scissors, imitating her scars. The victim will bleed to death. The wounds caused by Kuchisake Onna can never be healed. Others say if you answer yes to both questions, but showing you are afraid, the evil spirit will go with you to the door of your house and will stab you to death there. However, if you answer yes twice, calmly and without fear, the woman will give you a blood-stained rupee and then leave. Though they all agree on this, Kuchisake Onna will leave you alone if when she asks you for the first time, you say that you don't have time. She will apologize and you will continue your way. The Japanese legend of Kuchisake Onna is said to have very old origins, but it came back to light in 1996 with the movie Gakkoi no Kaidan. Since then, it was present in several Japanese movies. Though we should highlight Carved and its sequels, she also appeared in TV shows like American Horror Story, Freak Show, and Constantine. And remember, if a woman with a mask asks you in the street if she's beautiful, say you don't have time and don't look back.
Добре.
If you enjoyed this video, don't...
До тук спираме. Тези, които не са абонирали, абонирайте се, пръснете лайка и бай-бай. От мене, от Крадеца 2.0 Стоянов.